Coming up next on the Season 9 finale of Making Moves, the JTA finds a fix for some local seniors after their supermarket closed. New CFO Greg Hayes joins us in studio to discuss the authority's financial health. We go around town on JTA for some sweet treats. And we'll meet David Moody, who doesn't let his vision impairment keep him from riding the bus. I'm Donna Deegan. These stories and more right now on Making Moves. Hello and welcome to Making Moves. I'm Donna Deegan. On today's show, we'll find out exactly how the JTA is funded and how it plans to pay for a new Skyway system when new CFO Greg Hayes makes his first appearance on Making Moves. Then later, Catalina Allures takes us around town on JTA for some ice-cold treats. But we begin with a story on how JTA came to the rescue when a local supermarket closure left some seniors without a place to buy food and other necessities. Making Moves correspondent Eugene Lindsay is here now to walk us through what happened and how JTA got involved. Hi, Eugene.
Hi, how are you, Donna?
Good to see you.
I tell you, it really all boils down to this. When the Winn-Dixie announced a few weeks back that they were closing their store on Beach Boulevard, now that's the store that's not far from Southside Boulevard, it created a real crisis for some seniors who live literally across the street from the store. Now with the Winn-Dixie closed and no other supermarkets within walking distance, being able to buy food and other essentials quickly became an emergency situation. But that's where the JTA stepped in to lend a hand. Its familiar bright red marquee gone, and the shelves are now empty. This former Winn-Dixie store that sits between Beach Boulevard and Hogan Road was once the lifeline for seniors here at Madison Manor. This senior living facility is located just behind the former supermarket, which was the only grocery store for seniors who live here. They say they could just walk across the street to do their shopping. Over 70% of the folks living here at Madison do not drive or have any form of transportation. So when the grocery store shut its doors, it left them stranded with no way to get to the market.
We really rallied to try to keep that Winn-Dixie open because the 150 plus residents here, they got no other source. You know, the other grocery stores are further away.
So with this Winn-Dixie now closed, that means seniors over at the Madison Manor will now have to travel about 1.5 miles to get to the nearest supermarket. And since most don't drive crossing the busy intersections here along Beach Boulevard to get to a mainline bus stop, well, they say that was just a little too dangerous. But when State Senator Audrey Gibson learned about the situation, she reached out to JTA officials to see if there was anything they could do to help.
We looked at what services we had. We knew that our regular bus service was not the ideal solution, and it was very costly to do that. And we had recently launched a taxi pilot in the Mandarin area, and we found that it was very successful. And we thought that if we could do a similar taxi program in and around Madison Manor, that it could be the ideal solution.
So to help the folks who live here at Madison Manor continue to have easy access to the things they need the most, the JTA is working with Coastal Cab Company to shuttle them to any destination within a 2.5-mile radius of the facility, a service they say will make a big difference in their day-to-day lives.
They can actually are creating a route that includes 3 or 4 grocery stores, the post office, several banks, and they will be able to go for just $2 for the first driver and then $1 for each additional, which makes, if they pair up and go together, there's even more savings.
The JTA will subsidize the balance of each ride with Coastal Cab, which is cheaper than running a daily fixed route bus here. And this transit alternative opens up more choices for these residents when it comes to shopping and taking care of their daily needs.
It'll be open for them to decide where they want to go shop, how long they want to stay. They can set up taking them and picking them up to bring them back. It'll be door-to-door service, so they won't have to stand in the weather or cross busy roads. It really does work well for seniors.
Winn-Dixie was so convenient, and now that it's gone, the taxi service is really going to be, like JTA is going to provide for them, is really going to be welcome.
So all the seniors have to do to book their ride is call Coastal Cab, or they can call JTA just 2 hours in advance to schedule a trip, and they're on their way. And the JTA hopes to have their service contract with Coastal Cab all worked out here sometime this month and have that service operational very soon.
Wow, I am sure that will be a huge relief to those seniors.
Absolutely it will. They're certainly looking forward to it, I can tell you that.
Well, Eugene, thank you for sharing that story with us, and you will be back with us later in the show. We're going to
see
talk
you
about
soon.
some of our Season 9. Can you believe Season 9?
Season 9. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. Huh?
It flies when you're having fun, and we'll hear more from you on some of your favorite moments coming up.
Looking forward to it, Donna.
Thank
See
you,
you then.
Eugene. Several months ago, the JTA proved instrumental in helping convince Amazon to come to Jacksonville and bring with it thousands of new jobs. The key to the deal was JTA's promise of a transportation plan for Amazon's new fulfillment center near Jacksonville International Airport. Last month, JTA launched the Route 82 Shuttle, providing direct service between the authority's Armsdale Park and Ride facility and the new Amazon Center on Pecan Park Road. Route 82 operates every 5 to 7 minutes during Amazon shift changes 7 days a week. The Park and Ride is located at I-295 and Lim Turner Road and features parking for 189 vehicles, bike racks, and ticket vending machines, as well as direct connections to the First Coast Flyer Green Line. JTA is one of only a handful of transit agencies in the entire country that does double duty, designing, planning, and building roads and bridges, as well as providing public transit. That uniqueness brings with it its own set of challenges, not the least of which, of course, is funding. And here to talk about how the JTA pays for it all is the authority's new Chief Financial Officer, Greg Hayes. Greg, your first visit to the show. We're very excited to have you with us this morning. And since you're fairly new to the CFO job, I guess my first question is, what were your initial impressions of JTA when it comes from the financial condition when you arrived?
Financially, the company is extremely strong. We have generated operating surplus, meaning our revenues are greater than our expenses for each of the past 5 years. We anticipate doing it again this year. We also have substantial financial reserves, and I'll tell you more about those in a moment, what we do with them. But overall, the company is run like a private company, and we have a lot of projects going on at all times. And it's very much about getting things done and making sure the projects are successful and we move on to the next one.
Well, if you've been watching this show for any length of time, you know how many awards the JTA has won in the last few years for just that very thing. That it's just been such an example, not only in Florida, but around the nation for how things get done in this agency. So it's really been inspiring to watch. But talk a little bit about the funding sources, because obviously JTA gets its funding from a number of different sources.
First of all, passenger fares. So of course we charge a fare for riding the bus, for example. So if a passenger wants to take the bus from one stop to another, it's $1.50. So we generate passenger fares on our bus, what we call our fixed route, also on our paratransit service, and then on the ferry. And then the Skyway is fare free, so we don't charge a fare on the Skyway. So that is a portion of our funding, but it's a relatively small portion. I think that's the thing most people don't understand. For example, on our bus service, our passenger fares only cover about 20% of the total cost. So that other 80% has to be made up somehow. And there are a number of sources. Number one is the transportation sales tax. So a half a cent on every taxable sale that occurs in Duval County, that money goes toward transportation and towards funding our bus and our bus operations. And so that's the largest piece. We also have a constitutional gas tax, which is 2 cents of every gallon of gas that's sold in Duval County. And that money is split between JTA and the city of Jacksonville. So each of us get a penny. There's the newest source, or recently renewed source, the local option gas tax, which is 6 cents on every gallon of gas. And the city of Jacksonville gets 1 cent of that, and then we get 5 cents. And then we also get grant funding. So we get federal money from the federal government. A lot of that is formula funding, meaning it's assigned to the state, and then the state allocates it across all the different transportation agencies in the state based on mostly population, but also number of customers and ridership and some other statistics. And so that is another substantial source that we get on a regular basis. And there's also dedicated federal grant funding. So the federal government will provide grant funding for specific projects, such as the BRT, the Bus Rapid Transit First Coast Flyer service that we've implemented recently. We're we're about to start our service to the beach, or build our route to the beach, what we call our east route. We did our north route a couple of years ago. We did our southeast route last year. So, and then we're starting on a substantial project we just broke ground on last month, the JRTC, Jacksonville Regional Transportation Center, which is our new multimodal transit hub, which will house our bus operations, our bus service. Also, our Skyway will come into there. Our administration building will be there, and then across the street, already well underway, is the intercity bus terminal, or the Greyhound station.
So
all
remind
of
us
those
of the
different
timetable on that.
That will open in December of 2019.
December of 2019. I want to isolate just for a second on that 20-year extension of the tax that went into effect last year, the 6 cents that
Right.
we were talking about. I know that's split between JTA and the city. So what does JTA specifically do with its portion of the funds on that?
Okay, so with the local option gas tax, the 6 cents,
Right.
was extended to, it started last year, so extended
Right.
until 2036. And there are, the first cent goes to the city of Jacksonville, the other 5 cents goes to JTA.
Okay.
But when we did that, we had an agreement, interlocal agreement with the city, where we issued bonds, revenue bonds, $100 million of bonds to, against that revenue. So we know what we're gonna get for 20 years from that gas tax. And so we, with those bonds, with that $100 million, we took on a program of projects, 14 specific projects that the city gave us throughout town, some on the west side, the south side, north side, the beaches. There's all throughout town of road and sidewalk and bridges, and it's construction projects that were originally under the Better Jacksonville plan,
Right.
but did not happen because of funding, and so we took on those projects. And so we're going to complete those 14 projects sometime in the year 2021, but they're well underway right now in various stages of progress.
We've talked so much about how a lot of these funds at least come from gas taxes. And, you know, we're getting more and more efficient with our gas mileage, that we're going more and more to electric
right.
powered type cars and transportation. So as we move on into the future, obviously those funds may diminish. So how do we plan, you know, for as that becomes more and more a part of the landscape?
Yeah, you're exactly right. The industry is changing, and it's changing rapidly. We see the oncoming of ride sharing with Uber and Lyft, autonomous vehicles. JTA is now, we're doing an extensive study and a lot of thinking about where we're going to be in the future. The agency will not be the same as it is now, and so our U2C, and I didn't mention that yet, our Ultimate Urban Circulator, which is the future of the Skyway. We're working on that project now, and that will be a long-term project over the next 5 to 10 to 20 years eventually, where we'll take the existing Skyway structure, the monorail structure, convert it using autonomous vehicles, and take it down to the street level and go to all the places around town that people want to go, to the stadium, to Brooklyn, across the river to Riverside, and to the district. And so really expand that service into places where people want to go.
And of course you have cost containment initiatives that are underway as well, right?
That's right. So last year we looked at fare modification, meaning should we change our fares? We haven't changed our bus fares since 2012. And as we looked at it, our board decided that we did not want to change fares. We wanted to look at the other pieces of how we get our revenue. One was how do we increase our ridership? So we've got a Tri-Transit campaign underway where we're trying to really educate the public about what the bus service is. And a lot of people that have never ridden the bus, we want them to get on it and try it. So we've made substantial improvements over the last few years. We have 25% of our fleet is new with compressed natural gas buses. We have free Wi-Fi on all of our buses. We have what's called real-time passenger information, so you can, on an app or on the totems, the signboards outside the bus stops, you can see when the next bus is going to arrive, so you don't have to wonder how long it's going to take. So we looked at how do we improve ridership? That's one side of it. The other side of it is, how can we control our costs? Can we do a better job of expenses? And so we attacked both the revenue side and the expense side. So when we look at our expenses, we did an extensive deep dive this past year on our whole expense structure for the entire agency. We called it strategic cost containment. We identified well over $1 million of expense savings that we will experience this year. And so for fiscal year 17, which for us ends in September of this year, we will be substantially under budget for our expenses, and so as we have been for each of the last 5 years. And so we expect that to continue. We're going to continue to focus, and that's, for my background in private industry, that's something I'm very experienced with, is always taking a very sharp look at expenses and where we can cut costs and be more efficient.
Well, it looks like as you look at the whole picture, between educating people about all the new services that are going into place, the whole modernization of the fleet and everything else, the future seems to me like it looks pretty bright for us in the next 10 to 20
really
years
does.
as we go forward financially.
It really does, and it's at the beginning I talked about how we are extremely strong financially, and that's one of the things that impressed me when I came on board, and especially compared to a lot of the other transit agencies, now that I've had some experience in looking at some of our peers and the difficulties that they have in funding and how they have to continually go every year and try to find additional funding sources just so they can keep operating. JTA has the dedicated, diverse funding sources that allow us the flexibility and the freedom to really know that we can continue our operations. We have substantial financial reserves that not only our board has set aside in case there's some sort of catastrophic operational issue that will continue to allow us to keep running for several months, as well as capital reserves that will allow us to do the projects that we want to do over the next 5 years. And so we always have a 5-year capital plan to know what we want to build over the next 5 years. And the biggest one coming up is the JRTC. The one after that will be the U2C, the Ultimate Urban Circulator.
That sounds really cool, doesn't it? The Ultimate Urban Circulator. Sounds like it should come with a... Greg Hayes, thank you so much. It's great to have you in this position as our Chief Financial Officer, and we're thrilled to have you on the show for the first and hopefully first of many times.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much, and this will be so interesting to watch. Well, riding the bus is certainly cheaper than owning a car, but if you're visually impaired like David Moody, driving a car is not an option, so Moody uses JTA to get around the city. Sometimes he takes the connection service designed for the disabled community, but Moody also likes his independence, so you'll also find him riding on JTA's fixed route buses. So why does he do this? Well, that's what Making Moves senior correspondent Terry Casey went out to find out.
Meet David Moody. We caught up to him navigating his way to a JTA bus stop near his home.
I'm totally blind. Always been totally blind. I was born that way.
He checks his Braille watch, waiting for the bus he wants to catch downtown. What you can't see is the array of tools he uses to get where he needs to go and do what he needs to do.
So I'd use my brain to process audio information, to process the information I'm getting from my cane, from my feet, from echoes around me, all kinds of stuff.
Moody likes to take fixed route buses like this one. And there's a reason.
The fixed route bus gives you more freedom.
And that means
more options. I'm like everybody else. I like to have options. Feels good on those buttons.
What does he see in his mind while riding that bus?
I'm following a map in my head, and I know what I want to accomplish.
That mental map and the JTA take him downtown where Moody disembarks near his destination. Traffic almost anywhere downtown in Jacksonville can be really tough to negotiate, especially if your vision is shot. But there is help.
Hey, Mr. Moody, how are you? It's Mike.
Hello, Mike. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing fine.
Good.
And here's that help. Michael is a downtown ambassador with the nonprofit Downtown Vision organization. Earlier, Moody gave them a heads up that he was on the way and could use a little help.
Sometimes traffic can be crazy down here, so to be able to come out and work with Mr. Moody, it's just absolutely incredible. I've been doing it for 9 years.
As they walk, Moody is processing and storing information like a computer. He keeps track of where they are, where they're going, where they've been, and so much more. We spoke with him about that afterward.
We were going north on Noonan Street up to Ashley. And so we got off at Monroe, and we went across Duval, went across Church, went across Ashley.
And kept going until he reached his destination and called it a day.
I go back home when I'm done. And basically that's what anybody does, except they can see and I can't.
In downtown, Terry Casey, JTA Making Moves.
most of us, eating healthy is just a matter of choice. We go to the nearest supermarket and pick out all the fresh produce we want. But how healthy would you be if all you had nearby was fast food restaurants and convenience stores filled with junk food and frozen pizzas? Every Friday, JTA's Rosa Parks Produce Market is helping you eat healthier with lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, all at reasonable prices. Rosa Parks help change our world. Now the Rosa Parks Produce Market can help change your life.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
Whether it's a short trip or a long haul.
Estimated time, 47 hours.
They will beg.
You're hungry? I'm happy to provide.
They will plead.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
But whatever you do, don't wimp out.
Now you're talking.
Make them buckle up.
He can't hurt.
Remember, safety first. Cheese curls second.
Are you orange?
After 15 years of smoking, Eva Marie quit. There's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back. This is our final show of season 9. So we've asked our correspondents to join us to talk a little bit about some of the amazing stories they've covered this past season. So let's bring in Eugene Lindsay and Catalina Allers. What a remarkable season this has been. So much has been going on. We've had a front row seat for all of it. The First Coast Flyer Blue Line launched, partnered with Beachside Buggies, demoed an autonomous vehicle, broke ground on the JRTC. Gosh, the list goes on, and all those incredible awards that the JTA has won this year. Eugene, I know it's hard to pick one, but do you have a favorite moment of the year?
I tell you what, Donna, when I look back on this past season and the stories that I covered, I think about how impressed I was with how JTA would be innovative and think outside the box to meet the needs of the people when it comes to transportation. One being, of course, the Beachside Buggies that you mentioned. For years, we'd see the trolley, beaches trolley, going along A1A and 3rd Street down at the beaches throughout the summer. Well, this year that changed. They said it was not working well. They didn't have the ridership they'd hoped, but they knew they needed something. So they partnered with Beachside Buggies. And Beachside Buggies came in. Now you see these cool little golf carts strolling around the beach with cool. And it works well for the business owners out there, the patrons who come out to the beach to have a good time. They're getting to where they need to go. And it's just been a great marriage between the JTA and Beachside Buggies. Who would have thought?
It really is smart. We see those. I live out at the beach, and I see those things going back and forth. Yeah. It's a brilliant idea.
It's a brilliant idea.
Really, it is. So, and Catalina, gosh, we've had so much fun with your around town segments. Who knew there were so many cool places to go?
We knew. We all knew. We just had to make sure you
Catalina knew, and her job was to make sure that you knew. So what's your favorite so far?
Actually, there was a surprise. Even though I've lived in Jacksonville for 20-something years, I had no idea that Tree Hill Nature Center existed in the middle of Arlington. It was such a fun surprise. I took my niece and nephews and my mom to the Butterfly Festival that we were featuring. It was beautiful. They had such a good time.
That sounds like it was just an amazing place. I wish I had gotten to see that as well. But you actually have a new Around the Town, very tasty segment for us today.
Oh, of course. Because even though it's September, we all know it is not cooling down. And the kids are going to be in the car, and they're going to want something cold and yummy still. So instead of screaming for ice cream, we're taking you for frozen custard at Wits.
Just a fair warning, your sweet tooth is going to fall in love at Wits Frozen Custard. This creamy treat is pretty new to Jacksonville, but it's spreading fast. Owners Jessica McKinley and her husband Michael left the corporate life in 2014 to bring a piece of their Midwest upbringing to us. They recently opened their 4th store in the shops of Avondale. Now, let's answer that question you're probably asking yourself. What in the world is frozen custard?
Frozen custard is basically just a premium ice cream. It's got less air in it than regular ice cream, so it's got like a smoother, creamier texture. It also has egg yolk added to it, which makes a subtle difference between that and most ice creams.
Wits has just 2 base flavors, vanilla and chocolate. That might not sound impressive at first, but they have more than 30 toppings, from popular chocolate bars to real fruit to the classic hot fudge. So you can make whatever sweet dream you have that day. Since everything is made with the 2 flavors, Wits goes through them pretty quickly. And that means you're almost always getting a scoop of slow-churned, fresh, frozen custard. Now, there is a 3rd flavor, but the daily flavor is a rotation of 350 creations. And every single one is Instagram-worthy.
Our #1 seller here is Beach Madness, which was something we named just because we started out at the beach. And it's vanilla custard. It's got peanut butter, chocolate syrup, and Reese's mixed into it. And it's a fan favorite. Another really popular one is the Sea Turtle, and it is a vanilla custard. It's got caramel, fudge, and pecans on it.
Kids have their own fun menu items to choose from, like Dirty Worm and Fish Bait that feature the candy kids can't resist to play with, those chewy, wiggly gummy worms. This family of first-timers echo what most say after trying Wits.
It's a little smoother than ice cream, and it's a little, like you said, it doesn't leave the weird taste and the weird after film in your mouth after you eat it. So it's just got a different texture to it, and it's really good.
What about the kids? They like it?
Yeah. They've all cleaned their bowls. This one's working on it.
If all this beautiful footage of frozen custard and satisfied messy faces still hasn't piqued your interest,
I mean, a lot of people come in and they're a little intimidated at first, like, what is frozen custard? But I just like to tell them, if you like ice cream, you're going to love frozen custard. In fact, we may ruin ice cream for you.
Wits has 4 locations around town, and since they're a Jack's Gem, if you visit using JTA, just show your Star Card, ticket, or My JTA app receipt and get 10% off your purchase.
And I bet it was yummy.
All of it. So good.
Oh my
so
gosh.
good. It was worth every calorie.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have to check it out. And guess, look who's joined us.
Hello.
Correll Dancy.
Correll Dancy. and her beautiful hair. Nice hairdo today.
Thank you.
Well, you know, obviously you worked on some very compelling stories this year. We had so many stories. The hero bus driver, that was one of my favorites, the one who avoided the head-on collision with her quick action, certainly one that comes to mind there. But the story on the garden that showed a different side of JTA, its community spirit.
Yes.
That really is one that goes far beyond buses, trains, and roads.
Definitely. I mean, it really touched my heart being out there with those ladies early in the morning. And they were just, you know, in the garden doing what they had to do, but it just warmed their hearts that they were able to get these benches, you know, the connection through JTA. It's just wonderful. People just don't understand the different things or the different ways that JTA is able to touch lives and help communities be able to get over 200 pounds of vegetables in an area that is considered
a food desert.
A food desert, exactly. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, it seems like we hear those stories more and more. We had another great story about that today, in a way that JTA steps in. And I just, you know, it's been fun to listen to you all share these wonderful stories. And I think the more that we can help people understand what JTA does and how much more diversified everything that JTA offers is, I think the more we have people interested in using public transit. So thank you all. And we're looking forward to the next exciting season, right?
Can't wait.
Yeah, you're all going to hang out, right?
Oh yeah, we're going to Wits after this, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. All right. And that wraps up this episode of Making Moves. We thank you for taking the time to join us. Remember, you can check out past episodes anytime online at JTAFLA.com. And you can also find stories and other exclusive content when you like our Facebook page at facebook.com/JTA Making Moves. For everyone here at Making Moves, I'm Donna Deegan. We hope you join us next time for Season 10, the premiere of Making Moves. Take care, everybody.